أَوَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُمْ آيَةً. They still ask for miracles. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَوَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُمْ آيَةً. Has it not been for them, meaning for the Makkans, for the Arabs, ayatan, a sign, meaning a sign, an evidence of the truthfulness of the Qur'an, that أَن يَعْلَمْهُ, that he knows about it. Who knows of it? عُلَمَاءُ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيل, the scholars of the Bani Israel. Is this not an ayah of the truthfulness of the Qur'an? That the ulama of Bani Israel, they know of this Qur'an. Ulama is the plural of alim. And this fact is sufficient, that this Qur'an is true. This Qur'an is from Allah. Now the scholars of the Bani Israel, they knew about this book. Especially those who were real ulama. Because what happened to them? They became believers. Like for example, Abdullah ibn Salam. He became a Muslim. And he was very learned amongst the Bani Israel. And it's not just at that time, but also afterwards. Many scholars of the Bani Israel, from among the Jews and the Christians, once they learn of the Qur'an, when they listen to the Qur'an, when they read the Qur'an, they believe in it, they accept it. And if you think about it, right at the beginning, when the Prophet ﷺ was given his prophethood, his wife, she took him to who? Waraqa ibn Nawfal. And who was he? He was a Christian man who read the scriptures. And he affirmed the truthfulness of the Prophet ﷺ as well. So is this not enough of a sign that the ulama of the Bani Israel, they know about the Qur'an, they believe in the Qur'an, they recognize this Qur'an? And if many of the scholars of the Bani Israel, even if they don't accept, what do we learn? يَعْرِفُونَهُ كَمَا يَعْرِفُونَ أَبْنَاءَهُم. They recognize the Prophet ﷺ, they recognize the Qur'an as well as they recognize their own children. But it was just out of pure jealousy that the Prophet ﷺ was not from among their people. He was not from the Bani Israel. That is why they did not believe. That was the only reason. Otherwise, they recognized him very clearly. And also if you look at it later, when the Muslims, when they migrated to Abyssinia, and Surah Maryam was recited to An-Najashi, what was his reaction? وَإِذَا سَمِعُوا تَرَى أَعْيُنَهُمْ تَفِيضُ مِنَ الدَّمْعِ. You see their eyes overflowing with tears. So is this not enough of a sign? Is this not enough of a miracle? Is this not enough of an evidence that this Qur'an is truly from Allah? That it should be believed in and followed? So why are these people not believing? وَلَوْ نَزَّلْنَاهُ. And if we had revealed it, عَلَى بَعْضِ الْأَعْجَمِينَ, upon some of the foreigners. A'jameen is a plural of A'jami. And A'jami, from the root letters, Ain, Jim, Mim. And who does A'jami refer to? It refers to someone who does not speak the Arabic language. Someone who is not eloquent in his speech. So if the Qur'an was revealed on some of the foreigners, those who do not speak the Arabic language, those who are not expressive in their speech, فَقَرَأَهُ عَلَيْهِمْ, and then he had recited it to them. Meaning then that A'jami person would recite the Qur'an to the Makkans, to the Arabs. Then what would be the reaction of the Makkans? مَا كَانُوا بِهِ مُؤْمِنِينَ. Still they would not believe. Why is this being said over here? The Prophet ﷺ, he was from the people of Makkah. He spoke the Arabic language. And he was also very eloquent. And when the Qur'an came from him, in the sense that when he delivered the Qur'an to the people, what did they say? That you have fabricated it. Isn't that what we learned in Surah Ash-Shuara? That he has fabricated it. And these stories, he has learned it from who? From some other people. فَهِيَ تُمْلَى عَلَيْهِ بُكْرَةً وَأَصِيلًا. They gave many explanations. They refused to believe. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if the Qur'an had come to you through a non-Arab, through a person who was not eloquent, would you believe? No. Still you would not believe. When it comes from an Arab, you say it's his fabrication. When it would come from a non-Arab, you would say, how is it possible that we accept a Qur'an from him? Now, what does this demonstrate? This demonstrates the intense disbelief of these people. That they were not willing to believe at all. That no matter how the Quran was brought to them, they would not accept it. The Arabs, they considered themselves to be great experts in language. And they had great poets, and they were very proud and boastful of this fact, that they were very eloquent, they had great poets. And if you think about it, all of the nations that are especially mentioned in the Quran, the previous nations, they had something that they excelled in. Isn't it so? Whether it was architecture, or it was magic, like the people of Fir'aun. Different things the people excelled in. And at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the people, what did they excel in? Language, expression, eloquence. And to every nation, a miracle was given that was relevant to those people. That surpassed the great skill that those people possessed. So for example, if the people of Fir'aun, if they were great magicians, Musa a.s. was given such miracles that defeated their magic. And Isa a.s. at his time, people were very interested in medicine, in cure. And Isa a.s. was given such miracles that surpassed the medicine that people had come up with. That he could cure the leper, the born blind, even someone who had died, he could bring him back to life by the permission of Allah. Why? To show to the people the truthfulness of the messenger. And this is the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the miracle at the time of the Prophet ﷺ in the form of the most eloquent speech that made their great poets completely silent. They were unable to say anything in response to the eloquence of the Quran. They were unable to challenge the eloquence of the Quran. So, over here, the Arabs are being told that, look, you are so eloquent, you understand great language, you understand great expression. And this Quran, it has defeated you completely. This Quran is in clear Arabic language, بِلِسَانٍ عَرَبِيٍّ مُبِينٍ. And the one who is conveying it to you, who is he? The Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ, how is he described? أَفْصَحُ الْعَرَبِ, the most eloquent of the Arabs. Because if you look at the statements of the Prophet ﷺ even, they're so precise. Aren't they? They're so precise, they're so eloquent, the expression is so great. But still the expression is different from the expression of the Quran. So, in summary, what are the people being told over here? The people of Makkah, the Arabs, the mushrikeen, the deniers. That why do you not believe in the Quran? What is stopping you from believing in the Quran? If you look at it, the scholars of the Bani Israel, they recognize this book. That is mentioned in the previous ayat. And then on top of that, this Quran has been revealed on who? On Afsahul Arab. On someone who is very, very eloquent. And if you look at the eloquence of the Quran, it is undefeatable. You can never ever defeat it. In Surah Fussilat, ayah 44, we learn, وَلَوْ جَعَلْنَاهُ قُرْآنًا أَعْجَمِيًّا لَقَالُوا لَوْلَا فُصِّلَتْ آيَاتُهُ أَعْجَمِيٌّ وَعَرَبِيٌّ. That if we made it a non-Arabic Quran, the people would have said, why are its verses not explained in detail? Is it a foreign recitation and an Arab messenger? Then they would have a problem with that. Now similarly over here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that if the messenger was foreign, A'jami, you would have the same problem. You would not believe. So basically in these ayat, proofs are being given, evidences are being given for the truthfulness of the Quran. That all of the objections that people were raising against the Quran, all of them are being answered. كَذَلِكَ, thus, سَلَكْنَاهُ, we have inserted it, فِي قُلُوبِ الْمُجْرِمِينَ, into the hearts of the criminals. What does it mean by this? كَذَلِكَ, that just as the Quran is so clearly from Allah, that it is تَنزِيلٌ مِّن رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ, it is بِلِسَانٍ عَرَبِيٍّ مُبِينٍ. And the scholars of the Bani Israel, even they know this Quran, even they recognize this Quran. كَذَلِكَ, in the same manner, سَلَكْنَاهُ, we have inserted this Quran, where? فِي قُلُوبِ الْمُجْرِمِينَ, in the hearts of the criminals. What does it mean by that? that this Qur'an, its truthfulness, its reality, its miraculous nature, is very well known to all of these criminals. It has entered their hearts. Salaknahu. We have admitted it into their hearts. The Qur'an is clearly from Allah. The Qur'an is eloquent. The Qur'an, these Bani Israel, they know it, they recognize it. And similarly, the mushrikeen of Makkah also, they know of this Qur'an. They recognize its beauty. They recognize its truthfulness. Salaknahu fi qurubil mujrimin. But do they believe in it? Do they accept it? No. But can they refuse it? Can they reject it? Can they deny it? They cannot even do that. Why? Because they were the masters of the language. It wasn't that they did not recognize the Qur'an. No, they recognized it very clearly. Think about it. If it is something that you have known all your life, you're very familiar with it, and if the best of it is presented to you, will you not be able to recognize it? Of course. You will be able to recognize it. Why? This is something that you've known all your life. Like, for example, a particular food from your cuisine, from your culture. If you see it somewhere, if you have it, if you taste it, you know it's going to be excellent. When it's excellent. You can tell between what is good and what is not good from your cuisine. But if, let's say, some cuisine that you've never ever had before, let's say Korean, you've never had before, you've never tasted sushi, the first time you have sushi, can you say if it's good or not? You can't say it's the best sushi. Maybe it's best for you, but you can't say it's the best one. Why? Because it's the first time you're having it. You're not even familiar with it. So if you're familiar with something, you know it inside out. You've known it all your life. When the best of it comes before you, you know it's the very best. You can tell. No matter how much you refuse on the surface, but you can tell. Similarly, the mushrikeen of Makkah, they knew the Arabic language. They were masters of it. And when the Qur'an came before them, it was impossible that they did not recognize the truthfulness of the Qur'an. Impossible. They recognized it. كَذَلِكَ سَلَكْنَاهُ فِي قُلُوبِ الْمُجْرِمِينَ. This is why they would go secretly and try to listen to the Qur'an. This is why when they would listen to the Qur'an, it would have an impact on them. They would want to believe. They would believe. And then some of them, what would happen to them? They would give up their belief afterwards. Like, for example, Uqba bin Abi Mu'ayt. So, it wasn't that they did not recognize. They recognized. This is just as the magicians at the time of Fir'aun. They knew magic. Isn't it? They were masters of magic. And when the miracle of Musa a.s. came before them, they knew that this was not magic. This was something much greater than that. Which is why immediately they believed. Immediately they surrendered. So كَذَلِكَ سَلَكْنَاهُ فِي قُلُوبِ الْمُجْرِمِينَ. No matter how much they deny on the surface, they know on the inside, they know in their hearts that it is true. It is from Allah. Now this ayah has been understood in another way as well. That كَذَلِكَ سَلَكْنَاهُ. Salaknahu, it refers to disbelief, denial, takfir, takdeeb, denial of the Qur'an. This has been inserted where? Into the hearts of the criminals. Why? That despite the fact that they recognize the truthfulness of the Qur'an, the beauty of the Qur'an, still they do not accept. Why? Because disbelief has entered in their hearts. And once something has entered into your heart, then what happens? It becomes a part of you. It enters the entire body. Just imagine if something enters the heart, it's going to enter the bloodstream, which is going to affect the entire body. So, this takfir, this takdeeb has entered into their hearts. Why? Because they are so firm in their disbelief that no matter what they see now, no matter what they're told now, no matter what they're shown now, they're not going to believe. They're not going to accept. Just as we have learned earlier, that now they're not going to believe كَمَا لَمْ يُؤْمِنُوا بِهِ أَوَّلَ مَرَّةٍ. That because they denied the first time, now they're not going to believe. They're not going to accept. And this is what happens to a person who becomes stubborn. That sometimes he knows what the reality is in his heart. But just because he refused to accept it the first time, now what is he going to do? He is going to refuse every single time. Isn't it? Think about it. Remember some situation that you were in. You didn't want to do something. Somebody told you to do it. You said no. And they gave you many, many reasons as to why you should do it. But for every reason, you had an explanation. The other day, I was telling someone, iron your clothes. And they were saying no. List of excuses. I don't know how to iron. I'm afraid I'm going to burn. I'm afraid I'm going to do this. I'm afraid I'm going to do that. List of excuses. And I'm like, this is not rocket science. This is just ironing. What's the big deal? Just do it and you'll know. But because they didn't want to do it, they did not want to do it. They had a list of excuses. The first time you say no, once you make up your heart, I'm not going to do this, then what happens? No matter what is shown, no change. Then a person becomes firm and stubborn. In Surah Al-An'am, ayah number 7, we learn, وَلَوْ نَزَّلْنَا عَلَيْكَ كِتَابًا فِي قِرْطَاسٍ فَلَمَسُوهُ بِأَيْدِيهِمْ لَقَالَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا سِحْرٌ مُبِينٌ. That if we sent down a book to you, if we sent down a book to you, a written scripture on a page, فَلَمَسُوهُ بِأَيْدِيهِمْ, and they touched it with their hands, then what would happen? What would happen? They would say, this is clear magic. We're not going to accept. We're not going to listen. We're not going to believe in it. So just imagine, if the book is sent down, they touch it with their hands, they see it, they feel it, but still they will not believe. This is how firm they have become on their kufr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا يؤمنون به. They will not believe in it حتى يروا العذاب الأليم, until they see the painful punishment. Why? Because they have done takdeeb. Because they have denied the first time. Now they will not be able to accept until they see the painful punishment. They have become so stubborn. And then what's going to happen? They will want to go back. They will offer excuses, but their excuses will not avail them at all. فَيَأْتِيَهُمْ, so it will come to them. What will come to them? The painful punishment is going to come to them بَغْتَةً, suddenly, without any warning. وَهُمْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ, and they will not perceive. Meaning at that time, they will not perceive that the punishment is coming upon them. They wait for the last moment. And at that moment also, they will not be able to believe, because the punishment will come without any warning, without even letting them realize. فَيَقُولُوا, then they will say, هَلْ نَحْنُ مُنْظَرُونَ, may we be reprieved? Can we be given another chance? مُنْظَرُونَ, plural of munzar. And munzar is one who is given inzar, meaning one who is given time, one who is given respite. So then they will ask, هَلْ نَحْنُ مُنْظَرُونَ, can we be given some respite? When they see the punishment, then they will wish they had a little bit more time so that they can believe, so that they can change, so that they can accept. But what do we learn in Surah Al-Hijr, ayah number 8? وَمَا كَانُوا إِذًا مُنْظَرِينَ. And then the disbelievers would not be given any respite. They will not be reprieved at that moment. In Surah Ghafir, ayah 85, we learn, فَلَمْ يَكُ يَنْفَعُهُمْ إِيمَانُهُمْ لَمَّا رَأَوْا بَأْسَنَا. When they see our punishment, then their iman is not going to benefit. In Surah Yunus, ayah 96-97, we learn, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ حَقَّتْ عَلَيْهِمْ كَلِمَةُ رَبِّكَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. Those people against whom the word of your Lord has come into effect, they will not believe. وَلَوْ جَاءَتْهُمْ كُلُّ آيَةٍ حَتَّى يَرَوُا الْعَذَابَ الْأَلِيمِ. Even if every miracle should come to them, until they see the painful punishment. So then they will believe. So what do we learn from all of these ayat? Mainly, what is being said? What is the message of these ayat? That the time to believe is now. The Quran has come. It is a revelation from who? The Lord of the worlds. The miracle has come. The clear sign has come. And the time to accept it is now. If you look at it, Fir'aun, he was shown miracles. Did he believe? No. He delayed. When did he believe? Right when the punishment came. Did it help him? Not at all. Similarly, we learned about the people of Salih alayhi salam. They asked for miracles as well. They asked for a she-camel. They were given the she-camel. They were given the warning. Did they listen? No. And when the punishment did come, they became regretful. So, does it help a person then to regret at that moment? No. So, the time to believe, the time to accept is now. We listen to the recitation, then we'll continue. Now if you look at it, what was the main thing that prevented the people of Makkah from believing? Was it that the Quran was not clear to them? Was it that there weren't enough evidences? No. So what was the reason? It was just arrogance and stubbornness. And the same thing, who suffered by it as well? Who suffered with it as well? The previous nations. If you look at it, the people of Fir'aun, the people of Lut alayhi salam, all of the people that are mentioned in the previous ayat, the truth was clear to them. The messenger told them, Inni lakum rasulun ameen. I don't ask any ajr from you. Miracles were shown. Explanations were given. Nuh alayhi salam, so clearly he presented the truth to the people. 950 years. So what is it that prevented the people from believing? It was pure stubbornness, arrogance. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns the people, أَفَبِعَذَابِنَا يَسْتَعْجِلُونَ? So for our punishment, are they impatient? Is this what they're waiting for? That when they see the punishment, then they're going to believe? أَفَبِعَذَابِنَا? Do then with our punishment, يَسْتَعْجِلُونَ? They seek to hasten? Meaning, despite knowing this, that if they do not believe the punishment is on their way, why are they not believing? Is this punishment that they want? أَفَبِعَذَابِنَا يَسْتَعْجِلُونَ? And the people of Makkah constantly, this is what they said. We learn in Surah Al-Anfal, ayah 32, that وَإِذْ قَالُوا اللَّهُمَّ إِنْ كَانَ هَذَا هُوَ الْحَقِّ مِنْ عِنْدِكَ فَأَمْطِرْ عَلَيْنَا حِجَارَةً مِنَ السَّمَاءِ. If this is truth from you, then send down a shower of stones from the sky on us. In Surah Al-Ahqaf, ayah 22, we learn, قَالُوا أَجِئْتَنَا لِتَأْفِكَنَا عَنْ آلِهَتِنَا فَأْتِنَا بِمَا تَعِدُنَا إِن كُنْتَ مِنَ الصَّادِقِينَ. Bring us what you threaten us with, if you are of those who are truthful. And in the previous ayat as well, what did we see? That this is what the people said repeatedly to their prophets. Bring the punishment. Bring the punishment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَفَرَأَيْتَ? Then have you considered, إِمَّتَّعْنَاهُمْ سِنِينَ? If we gave them enjoyment for years, if we let them enjoy for many years, we let them live, we give them luxuries, we give them many blessings, we let them live for many, many years. ثُمَّ جَاءَهُمْ, and then it came to them, what? مَا كَانُوا يُوعَدُونَ, that which they are promised. And what is it? The punishment. That if these people are allowed to live for several years in many blessings, and then finally the punishment comes to them, مَا أَغْنَى عَنْهُمْ مَا كَانُوا يُمَتَّعُونَ, they would not be availed by the enjoyment with which they were provided. When the punishment comes, the years of enjoyment, are they going to save them from the punishment? No. All the blessings they enjoyed in all of those years, can they avert the punishment at that time? No. If you look at it, Fir'aun, he had so much. But when the punishment came, all of those blessings, what happened? They were taken away from him. What did we learn? فَأَخْرَجْنَاهُمْ, we took them out of Jannat, Uyun, Kunuz, Maqamin Kareem. All of them, they were taken out of those blessings. So مَا أَغْنَى عَنْهُمْ مَا كَانُوا يُمَتَّعُونَ. مَا أَغْنَى, it will not avail. مَا كَانُوا يُمَتَّعُونَ, all of those things that they were made to enjoy. Now, the mushrikeen of Makkah, what would they say? That if we are wrong, then the punishment should come upon us. And if the punishment is not coming, what does it mean? We are right. And you are wrong. This is the argument that they had. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells them over here that whether you live a short life or a long life, whether you live a life of blessings or a life deprived of blessings, if at the end is punishment, then whatever you have enjoyed before, nothing at all will avail. Now what happens? People typically, they get deceived in a very similar way. That if we have so many blessings, if we're enjoying right now, we're perfectly right. And just enjoy now, we'll deal with whatever comes later. But the fact is that no matter how much you enjoy presently, if eventually the consequences are harmful, this enjoyment is going to be very, very temporary, transitory. It's not going to be beneficial at all. Like for example, if a person is allergic to a particular food, but they love it, can't do without it, and they have it, they indulge, They have a lot of it. What's going to happen eventually? At that moment, they will enjoy. But afterwards, they're going to have to pay the consequences. And when they're paying the consequences, all of that enjoyment, will it bring them any pleasure at that moment? No. All that sweet taste, all that lovely food that you enjoyed in your mouth at that time, when you're suffering from that headache and that bloating and all of that, maybe perhaps a rash, is the enjoyment going to come to your mouth? No. You're going to forget it. That enjoyment is so short-lived. So what's the point of all of these blessings when at the end there are harmful consequences? If we don't do this when it comes to dunya, then why do we do it when it comes to the deen? مَا أَغْنَى عَنْهُمْ مَا كَانُوا يُمَتَّعُونَ. In Surah Al-Layl, ayah number 11, we learn, وَمَا يُغْنِي عَنْهُ مَالُهُ إِذَا تَرَدَّى. And what will his wealth avail him when he falls? Meaning when he falls in the hellfire, all that money he acquired in dunya, is it going to help him? No. Nothing at all is going to come and benefit a person. وَمَا أَهْلَكْنَا مِنْ قَرْيَةٍ. And we did not destroy any city, إِلَّا لَهَا مُنْذِرُونَ, except that it had warners. All the nations, all the people that existed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent warners to them. Whether they were sent in the form of prophets of Allah, or they were sent in the form of righteous people, who just went and passed on the message of the prophets to them. Every nation, every community, every people, they were warned. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent warners to them. Why? Because this was a promise that Allah had made. فَإِمَّا يَأْتِيَنَّكُم مِّنِّي هُدًى فَمَنْ تَبِعَ هُدَايَ فَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. At the time when Adam a.s. was sent from Jannah to dunya, this promise was made that guidance is going to be sent. So Allah fulfilled His promise. And if people were punished, if people were destroyed at the end, it wasn't that Allah did not tell them. It wasn't that they were being punished unjustly. No. They were given the message. They were told what was right, what was wrong. What led to success, what led to failure. As we have learned in the incidents that are mentioned in this surah. All the nations that were destroyed, what happened to them? They were warned before. The messenger gave warning very clearly. In Surah Al-Isra, ayah 15, we learn, وَمَا كُنَّا مُعَذِّبِينَ حَتَّى نَبْعَثَ رَسُولًا. And we would never punish until we sent a messenger. In Surah Al-Qasas, ayah 59, we learn, وَمَا كَانَ رَبُّكَ مُهْلِكَ الْقُرَى حَتَّى يَبْعَثَ فِي أُمِّهَا رَسُولًا. And never would your Lord have destroyed the cities until He had sent to their mother, meaning to the main city, a messenger. The main city, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would always send a messenger over there, and he would recite the verses to the people, and he would warn the people, and then only the punishment would come if the people did not believe. In Surah Yunus, ayah 44, we learn, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَظْلِمُ النَّاسَ شَيْئًا وَلَكِنَّ النَّاسَ أَنفُسَهُمْ يَظْلِمُونَ. Allah does not wrong the people at all, not even a little bit. Allah does not punish unless and until the people have been warned. It's the people who wrong themselves. It's the people who deny, who refuse to accept, who become stubborn, who become arrogant, and then the punishment comes upon them. ذِكْرًا, as a reminder. وَمَا كُنَّا ظَالِمِينَ. And never have we been unjust. What does it mean by this? ذِكْرًا. ذِكْرًا has been understood as that first of all it describes the munzirin, the warners, the prophets, that they were sent as reminders for the people. The messengers, the munzirin, the warners, they were as reminders for the people. What does it mean by that? That the messenger himself was an embodiment of the message that he brought. He was a living example of the message that he brought. So the people could not just hear what was supposed to be done, but they could see it. Like for example, the Prophet ﷺ, what do we learn about him? كَانَ خُلُقُهُ الْقُرْآنِ. So he didn't just tell the people, do this, don't do this, but he demonstrated it to the people. He showed it to the people. So the messengers, they didn't just go and give warning to the people, but they showed the warning. They lived the example. ذِكْرًا, as reminders the messengers were sent. Secondly, ذِكْرًا has also been understood as ذُو ذِكْرًا, meaning the messengers, the munzirin, the warners, who were they? They were those who brought reminder for the people. So dhikra, وَمَا كُنَّا ظَالِمِينَ, and we were never unjust, meaning we would never destroy the people unless and until they had been warned. And if they were destroyed without warning, then the people could say, this is not fair. But Allah did not punish the people without warning. So nobody has an excuse. Nobody can blame anyone but themselves. Let's listen to the recitation.